Good morning from Japan's icebox of a city, Asahikawa, Hokkaido. This is day 2 here in Asahikawa, and I decided before I head back to Sapporo, I need to have some more Asahikawa ramen. So I'm rushing right now to have 2 back-to-back bowls before I grab that Sapporo-bound train. Hello from snowy Asahikawa in northern Japan. If this is your first time stumbling across the channel, think of AM Ramen as a doorway to the fascinating world of ramen in Japan. I'm Frank, I grew up here and eat ramen like it's my job. In fact, it is my job. In this video, we're chronicling bowls 15 and 16 in this Hokkaido ramen series in Japan's coldest large city, Asahikawa. Let's get to it. It's definitely colder today, about -10 right now. In the evening last night, it dropped to about -15, but these places are so well insulated, the buildings here, compared to in Tokyo where they're pretty much prefab with thin walls. So I was nice and warm as I slept. But now I'm cold and I need some ramen. I can definitely feel that in my fingers right now. I still haven't had gloves since Hakodate. So I'm putting these fingers right back into my pockets right now. This is the 7th video in what is a Hokkaido ramen series. Hokkaido is Japan's 2nd largest island, which is home to brutally cold winters and wonderful ramen to match those winter temperatures. So far in the series, we've visited 2 Hokkaido ramen cities. The port city of Hakodate was where we sampled the local favorite, shio, or salt-seasoned ramen. In Sapporo, we enjoyed world-famous miso ramen, but some other fantastic ramen styles as well. The local ramen of choice is shoyu or soy sauce seasoned, and it's served piping hot. Our first ramen shop is Hachiya, and it has a history that goes all the way back to 1947. The current location in Asahikawa has been around since 1974. It's spacious and has a cozy retro feel to it. In their shoyu ramen, the soup is on the richer side, thanks to plenty of pork bones. But there are also other ingredients like dried fish, including horse mackerel, inside the soup. But their big trademark is burnt pork lard. It uniquely gives the soup a slightly bitter but lovely aftertaste. This burnt pork lard makes them a popular choice in Asahikawa. On a random note, they're also famous for using carefully sourced underground water in their soup. Let's get my recap on the ground. That was good. And it was different from the other Asahikawa bowls I've had. That burnt lard just gave it such a unique flavor, a nice smokiness, sweetness, and it reminded me of some other burnt bowls I've had before. So in the tonkotsu versus shoyu standoff, this one tonkotsu won. It had a meatier pork bone flavor and was less about the soy sauce. Fairly thick noodles as we've seen, negi, menma, but pork chashu that were a little bit different. They kind of reminded me of beef that you get in pho. A little bit drier, a little bit thinner as well. But that soup is definitely the highlight. Unique, you get that sweetness just like when you burn garlic, or as I mentioned in some other burnt ramen, like burnt miso ramen. Another tasty historic bowl. And I'm walking to the last ramen shop we'll be visiting in Asahikawa. And after that, I pretty much have to run or do a brisk jog to the hotel to pick up my luggage and then to the train station. Thankfully, all these spots are pretty centrally located. It's just that jogging is a little tricky because it's like jogging on a frozen lake. I feel like half this Hokkaido ramen series has been a weather report. The other half is an actual ramen report. Next up is Tsuruya. Tsuruya started in 1972. Even though they're relatively younger than other Asahikawa ramen shops, the exterior and interior feel just as old, if not older. Their take on Asahikawa shoyu ramen is lighter, just like ramen shop Aoba in the previous Asahikawa ramen video. But keep in mind that this is lighter compared to other Asahikawa ramen bowls, not ramen in general. The soup is still hearty. It's made up of mainly pork bones and dried fish. The noodles are thinner than normal here too. Let's get my full recap. That was another fantastic historical bowl here in Asahikawa. Shoyu versus tonkotsu. It was more about the shoyu, a bold, fairly sweet shoyu. but it also wasn't as light as, say, aoba. It was a more intensely flavored broth. And it kind of had this aged quality to it, not quite burnt, but I did get a peek of the soup, and it seems like they were constantly adding to that soup. And that provided a deep flavor. And sometimes it's hard to discern the flavors when the broth is so piping hot. But again, this was a strong soy sauce base. That shoyu being bold, sweet and salty, but also pretty thick layer of pork lard and also a nice, almost aged pork bone funk quality to the soup. Okay, now I gotta get back to jogging or maybe even running to Sapporo Station. This is why I don't put on weight. I'm always running somewhere. Ironically, normally running to ramen. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video in this Hokkaido ramen series. We'll be back in Sapporo City for more tasty ramen there. And we're going big, literally. I think this day in Sapporo ends up being my heaviest ramen day on the whole Hokkaido trip. You'll get to see some awesome kitchen footage as well. Feel free to check out that next video back in Sapporo. In the meantime, this is Frank from 5 AM Ramen signing out from Asahikawa. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if that's the case, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching. And let me know, which of the Asahikawa bowls do you want to try the most? They're similar, but also with some key differences.